Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, the 12th of June, 2023, and what a glorious morning. I don't know what it's like where you are, but the sun is shining even more so than through my fake window here. So good morning to you all. We've got Dave W out there saying hi campers. We've got City Life saying morning all. We've got Thomas there, Plum, we've got Danilo, we've got Johnny. We've got Band of Hardjabs, we've got Master Templar, we've got Vendetta, we've got Lee Corn out there, all right, Lee. We've got Cathal, we've got the great British video gamer, we've got Richard Brophy, we've got JD, we've got Michael Puny's there, and Stephanie Wilson, God, Asperger's Europe, everyone's here, this is fantastic. So we are awaiting the late Graham Hughes. I'm not that late, was I that late? I don't know, I was like a minute late. It's 19 degrees here in Leeds. Well, to be honest with you, here in Durham, it's not that hot, but obviously I'm still wearing my hoodie. It's not like it's sweltering or nothing, but it's quite nice outside. It's just that in my basement where I do these podcasts and shows and things, it's freezing. It's freezing down here. It's always freezing down here. In a basement up in the north. Right. Yeah, it's been a wild weekend. I love the fact that on Friday after we did the show in the morning brew, and then and then Phil and I did the agenda, and then I was on the bus down to London. Listening to the news. I was listening to LBC actually, and the news came through that Boris Johnson had resigned, and I just stood up in the bus and went, yes! And everyone sort of looked at me and I sat down. Maybe they thought I was listening to the football or something. I don't know. But marvellous news. Absolutely marvellous news that Boris Johnson has stepped down. And yeah, he's been like that scene in Jerry Maguire where he quits and he goes, who's with me? And then like, I think it's like Renée Zellweger, is it? Who's in the movie with? Might be wrong. She's like, yeah, okay, I quit too. Anyone else? I'm like, no. And like, that's pretty much exactly what's happened. He's going, right, I'm leaving. Everyone else should leave. And Nadine Dorries is like, okay then, Mr. Boris, I love you. And just so pathetic. It's so, oh God. Excuse me, is Nadine Dorries married? Does her partner think this is an acceptable way for a person to behave in public? I mean, come on. And then there's this guy called Nigel Adams. I've never heard of him before. Apparently he's the representative, the Tory MP for a place called Selby and Ainstey. I don't know. It's in Yorkshire Tory territory. Terrorists and Tories. Anyway, so he's also stood down as well with immediate effect. So we've got 3 by-elections on our hands, which is quite fun. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Before we do that, we'll say hello to Plum Duff, who says, I love cheering in the BBC audience when Boris was out. Yeah, if you listen, this is brilliant. If you can get a clip of this, Radio 4, Any Questions, which is like Radio 4's, what's it called? Question Time. And halfway through the show, basically the news comes through that Boris Johnson has resigned, and the audience just starts whooping and clapping and cheering like an episode of bloody Jerry Springer or something. It was remarkable. It was good. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. But Boris Johnson's gone now, and he's saying that he's it's for now. Hasta la vista, wink, wink, I'll be back. But I don't think that he will be coming back in this parliament. I don't think that he'll be able to stand as a Tory MP in the next election. Now, after that, if Phil is right, the Tories are going to, when they lose the next election, touch wood, they're going to put a lunatic in charge. So it'll be Kimi Badenoch, or it'll be Cruella Braverman or Priti Patel or one of those awful people who just want to destroy everything and cruelly take everything away from people who are already, struggling in life. That's what they get their kicks from, because they're quite sick, twisted individuals. So when that happens, he might be allowed back into the party and he might be allowed to stand. But as things stand now under Sunak, there's no way that Boris Johnson is going to be able to stand for Nadine Dorries' Mid-Bedfordshire seat. Not going to happen because it'll just be blocked. It'll be blocked. There are so many Tories that are absolutely apoplectic with rage against Boris Johnson right now for flouncing out in the way that he did. let's talk about this for a moment before we talk about the by-elections coming up. Now, he's written this article in the Spectator magazine, which is a Nazi rag. It's a right-wing Nazi rag of a. It's like if the Viz was evil, but the Viz is a lot better written actually. And he's written a piece in it in which he blames everyone but himself. Typical narcissist behaviours, typical school bully found out for being a horrible little shit, and being held to account for once and actually not liking it. Now, he is claiming that he's been ousted out by this so-called witch hunt, right? The thing is, he hasn't been kicked out by this select committee. This select committee has done research on whether they think that he misled Parliament. They've obviously come back with the correct final verdict that he misled Parliament. That's without a shadow of a doubt. He's banged to rights on that. And they were going to recommend, or they have recommended, we haven't seen the actual report yet, they've recommended that he has more than 10 days suspension. So the thing is, that's not the end of it. That's just a recommendation. They're just the investigators. That's like the equivalent of the police investigating a crime and saying, right, here's all the evidence that this person did a crime. We recommend they go to jail for life. Then it goes to the court, and the court is actually split in two on this case, in a case of an MP like this. First of all, you've got the MPs in Parliament. They have to vote on whether that party member should be suspended. Now, generally speaking, yeah, if a select committee has come back with the findings to say this person misled Parliament, or this person, Owen Paterson has done something to break the ministerial code or whatever, they'll take the recommendations and say, yeah, let's do this. The Tories didn't do that, remember, with Owen Paterson. That was about 18 months ago now, bloody hell. And that left them with egg all over their face, and they had to really, really backtrack on it pretty quickly after the scale of their corruption was exposed. So that doesn't normally happen, but it could. But what Boris Johnson didn't want is the humiliation of being told by his peers in the Tory party that what he did was wrong. But also, once that happens and he gets suspended for more than 10 days, you get a chance to put in a recall petition, which will probably happen in his constituency of Uxbridge and Ruislip. So I think it's pronounced Ruislip. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm not from around there. So the second part of the court case, the jury, whatever you want to call it, is going to your constituents and saying, right, well, this select committee has found me guilty of doing this thing. They say I've done this thing. Parliament have agreed with the select committee. I've been suspended for more than 10 days. Now I take it to the people of my constituency. Have I been a great constituency MP? And Boris Johnson knows that he's been a terrible, 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 terrible constituency MP. This is the guy who said he would lie in front of a bulldozer to stop an extra runway being built at Heathrow. And he did actually go to the JCB factory. JCB founder Banbury, or his name is, a massive Brexiteer, and Boris Johnson did stand in front of a bulldozer and lie about having another other than ready Brexit deal, but that wasn't the type of lying that people were expecting. They were expecting more of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, literally lying in front of the bulldozer to stop them building this runway, which he didn't do. He made sure that he was in Afghanistan at the time of the vote, so he could say, oh, well, I wasn't there, I was in Afghanistan for some reason. On holiday, I guess. I don't know. So he did that. So I don't think that the people of Uxbridge and Ruislip particularly like him very much. And I don't think that he would win an election in a million years there. And he knew that. And this is why him and his disgustingly compliant client press, the Mail, the Express, the Spectator, Tory Graph, all saying, oh, it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. No. Guy did a crime. He committed a crime. Yeah, thing against the rules. He broke the rules of the club that he's in. And the club has said, listen, we recommend that he should be expelled. And he has jumped before he's pushed. It's one of these people who go, oh, you can't fire me, I quit. But the good news is that hardly any of his, what people would have thought was, his ridiculous list of people on his honours list, which we should talk about as well. None of those people, apart from the Tories, is backing him up. They say that there's going to be more resignations in the coming weeks. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. What do you think? Berlusconi just died. Oh shit! I'm not supposed to do that, am I? Are we going out live? Oh great. Well, listen. I'm sorry. That was just a reaction that came up. I hate the guy. I hated the guy. So I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be upset about this. I'm just bringing it up on my screen. Oh well, one down. One mad, crazed dictator down. I'm trying to get the news up. Come on, news. Sorry, my internet's being rubbish. There we go. Wow, you're getting the news quicker than the BBC then, because it's not on the BBC site at the moment. Not on the Guardian site. Maybe it's on CNN. We will check. No, it's not there yet. There's a picture of Trump, which made me quite hopeful that he might have popped his clogs. But yeah, we get okay. Well, there you go. Silvio Berlusconi is dead. That's the news that's just come in. Let's see. The latest from Reuters. Italy former PM Silvio Berlusconi health conditions are very serious. That's it. That's all that said. I don't know if he's dead yet. The rumors of his death might be exaggerated. Oh no, it's in the Telegraph. You're right, he's dead. Right, he's gone. Phew. 9:43. 9:43. That's oh, it's 9:43 now. There you go. So yeah, and there's the breaking news on the BBC website, which I can bring up to you for you because I'm nice like that on the screen. Let's get this show on the road. Oh, that's no good. Just come up behind there. I love it when I try and do technical stuff halfway through a bloody show. Let's have a look. Let's try this one. Berlusconi. Oh, that one doesn't even appear. Okay. Oh, I'll just take it as read. Silvio Berlusconi, the former Italian PM who bounced back from sex scandals, remind you of anyone, and corruption allegations, dies at the age of 86. He died at the San Raffaele Hospital in Milan. Italian media reports. A flamboyant billionaire media tycoon, Berlusconi first came to office in 1994, Jesus, and led 4 governments until 2011. This is the guy who owned about 80% of the media in Italy. He was essentially a cross between Trump and Johnson and Rupert Murdoch. And he wasn't interested in governing. He just wanted the kudos of being in charge, but he also had a lot of media contacts as well. Now, Trump and Johnson both don't want to actually be in charge. They just want to show off to people. They are children who want to show their mates, their shiny Pokemon card. That's what they like, and that's what Trump is going to go down for, essentially, because we haven't even started talking about the indictments against Trump, which we need to get into in a moment. But we were talking about this. Murdoch's demise is well overdue, says Nick and Diff. I couldn't agree more. Bunga bunga. With his passing, will it make any difference? No. You're such a Luddite, Graham. I know. Berlusconi said that every man has a female side, but mine's a lesbian. Okay. Literally got the BBC News last couple of minutes ago. Berlusconi finally made a valuable contribution to the world. Now his God will judge him. Yeah, if only. Pat Robinson a few days ago. Now Berlusconi. Maybe Murdoch's own devil's deal is coming to an end soon. I bloody hope so. I hope he's running out of unicorn blood to feast on in the twilight. That's obviously keeping him alive. Died comfortably. Many people won't. Bit like the eaten filth. This nation with their private healthcare won't die waiting in an ambulance or a hospital corridor. Real shame. Yeah, exactly. Right then. Well, Berlusconi's carked it. He has he's joined the choir invisible. He's pushing up the daisies. If he wasn't nailed to the perch, he'll be pushing up the daisies. So yeah, I think that's good news. I'm sorry, he was a monster. He's an absolute monster. Don't forget, those bunga bunga parties would have involved women who were sex trafficked from Eastern Europe, from Russia. That went through that. I mean, I hate rich people. I just hate them. The billionaires, especially. We don't need them. We don't. They're the new kings and queens of the world, putting their opinion and their policies and things that they want to make happen around the world with no oversight, with no one being able to force them out in an election or whatever. Anyway, right. So I was talking about Boris Johnson and the fact that all of his cronies, like not even Jacob Rees-Mogg, who said he's not going to stand in the next election. This is really interesting as well. There's about 50 now, 50 MPs, Tory MPs that were elected in the last election that won't be standing in the next election, whether they have resigned, whether they've been made independents, whether they have said explicitly that they're not standing in the next election. There's about 50 of them. And that's a fair chunk. That is a fair chunk of the party. And many of them are jumping before they're pushed because they know they're not going to win the election. How old is Murdoch now? He's 92. He's 92 years older, unfortunately. I hope he doesn't see 93. Johnson, anyway, so I was just about to say about the different constituencies. So this is quite interesting because if Labour and the Lib Dems get together, and actually do something sensible for a change. They did this before last year, where there were two by-elections on the same day, and the Lib Dems really targeted one, Labour really targeted the other. Now, in this case, Uxbridge is going to go to Labour, by the looks of things, by all the polls and everything. So this is Boris Johnson's old constituency. This is going to be a hell of a scalp for Labour, because this is a former Prime Minister's constituency that they're going to take. Now, Mid Bedfordshire, it's a bit more complicated because when you look at the results in the last election, Labour actually comes second in Mid Bedfordshire. So if you were making a tactical voting site, you might be tempted to think, well, they came second last time. We should tell people to vote for Labour. That might not be the case. Looking into it with a little bit more nuance, although the Lib Dems did come third in the last general election in Mid Bedfordshire, you're more likely to convert people who live there from the Tories to the Lib Dems than you are from the Tories to Labour. So even though they're in third place in the last lot polls, they stand a better chance of actually leapfrogging the Tories. But it's a very, very safe seat. I think Dorries won it with like a 24,000 majority. Can you imagine that many people voting for Nadine Dorries? Like people going, yeah, I like the cut of her jib. I like that really, really thick woman who makes, I was going to say women look bad, but actually she just makes humans look bad. You know, if the aliens ever come and like that's the first human they meet, they're going to be like, lads, this is going to be easy. I'm just going to conquer the world. But the more interesting one for me at the moment is this Selby and Ainsty. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is the constituency for Nigel Adams, who's this No Mark MP who's also resigned in protest against Boris Johnson's treatment. So Britain Elect's polling suggests a narrow Tory win, with the Conservatives on 40.5% and Labour on 38.5%. If the Lib Dems dial it back there, Labour have a really good chance of winning. So if Labour and the Lib Dems could have a little bit of a chat, you know, in the back room with cigars, brandy, cognac, I don't know how it works, but it could say, look, Labour, dial it back in Mid Bedfordshire, dial it back there and go hell for leather in Uxbridge and in Selby. That's what I would recommend right now. Being I am a Labour Party member, and I host Labour Social, but at the end of the day, I have a much more important mission in life, which is to get the Tories out. Okay, so I've only got 9 minutes. I've got loads more stuff to cover. Why did Berlusconi have to die in the middle of my show? What a selfish bastard. Johnson and prison go together like strawberries and cream. Talking of prison, let's talk about Trump for a moment, because this is quite interesting. So obviously on Friday, we already talked about the fact that Trump now has 37 counts against him, leading to 7 criminal charges, each of which carries a jail sentence of between 10 or up to 10 or up to 20 years. There's a very good chance that if he just gets found guilty of one of those 7 charges, then he will spend the rest of his life in jail. And wouldn't that be a fine thing? So when the other what you want to have a look at is what the other people who are standing for leadership in the primaries for the Republicans to be their candidate to run for president are saying. People like Ron DeSantis, and Mike Pence and Chris Christie. And what they've all said is, "Oh, this is outrageous. We need to do something about this political overreach of the justice system. The justice system. It can't be just used as political football. Blah 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 blah." But none of them had defended Trump. That's a bit of a change. Well, maybe some of the more wingnutty ones, but the main rivals of Trump in this upcoming primary, which will be next year. Oh my God, the election cycle in America just takes forever. Especially, it would take 6 weeks, and then we don't have to worry about it so much. But yeah, that marks to me a little bit of clear water between Trump and other people in the Republican Party. They're starting to distance themselves because they can see the writing on the wall, because this is a slam dunk. I mean, all things being equal, if he wasn't a billionaire, he would have been in jail 3 weeks ago. It's like, he is so banged to rights. It's painful. We have him on tape literally saying, "Hey, look at this top secret document," which is a crime. Literally, we have him on tape committing a crime and laughing about it like some Machiavellian villain from a Hanna-Barbera cartoon from the 1960s. Like, ha 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 ha. Why are we laughing? I don't know. Honestly, it's kind of painful. Like, it's yeah. Anyway, that's what's happened, and so I think we find out tomorrow what the actual charges are going to be, but it's looking pretty damning for Trump. There was this 49-page document that came out that from the Justice Department that just laid it all out, and it's just like, there's not much wiggle room. There's not much wiggle room. He can't claim that, "Oh no, I made them declassified." Even if he had somehow done that retroactively, they've got him on tape saying, "I could have made these declassified when I was president, but I'm not president anymore. But have a look anyway." Ha 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 ha. It's like, and also they have transcripts from when he was running for president in 2016, literally saying, "I'm going to come down like a ton of bricks on people who mishandle classified information." Yeah, because that's a crime. So we can't claim they didn't know it was a crime. Like, he literally says, they've got him banged to rights. They have got him banged to rights. If he wiggles out of this one, there is no... There's no God. Maggie Pie, he should think back to all the corruption he's been involved in. Why can't Boris go to prison? I think he should. I think a lot of his cronies should. So, another thing, I've only got 5 minutes left. Nicola Sturgeon was arrested yesterday in conjunction with the ongoing investigation into the finances of the SNP. She was arrested, and it was like, and then she was released without charge. So obviously the police wanted to have a word with her, and they thought that they'd do it, in the Scottish way, which is to arrest the person. And yeah, I'm looking at this, going, you know what? If she's done something wrong, I've got no problem with her facing consequences for doing something wrong. But at the same time, you've got Nicola Sturgeon, who might have embezzled, let's say, if everything is true, right? This is probably not true. I'm going to say allegedly, but, if she embezzled, say, £500,000 from the SNP funds to buy herself a camper van, or whatever the accusation is, even if that were true, that is small fry compared with the billions that the Tories have stolen in plain sight of everyone. This is why the Tories don't want to hand over their WhatsApp messages, because it's all WhatsApp messages to their cronies saying, hey, do you want to set up a business with with Company's House, and I'll give you £250 million for PPE. It doesn't have to work. Without Trump, what future will Brexit have? That's from Maggie Pie, 20 Swedish krona. Thank you very much for the super chat there, Maggie. I don't think Brexit's got a future anyway. It's like the Queen in God Save the Queen, by the Sex Pistols. No future, because it can't work. It just can't work. Even if we had a friendly American president who really wanted the trade deal with us, the trade deal will be really shit for us. It'll be great for them. It'd be superb for them somehow, but it'd be really, really bad for us. Arrest is different in Scotland, says Brian. I know. That's why I said, like, it's a Scottish thing that they do. It's a bit different, but yeah, it is. It does irk me somewhat that these Tories seem to have got away with literal murder, mass murder, murdering not millions, but hundreds of thousands of British people who didn't need to be dead. Over 220,000 British people have died from COVID. Meanwhile, in Japan, which has twice the population, it's about 73,000. Make that add up. Surgeons arrest on a day when the Tories are desperate for us to ignore Bojo. What a coincidence. I don't know how much power the Tories have over the Scottish police, but at least they seem to be doing their job properly, unlike the Metropolitan Police, who are institutionally corrupt, institutionally racist, institutionally sexist, institutionally homophobic, and institutionally corrupt. I said that twice. Because they were the people who were outside number 10 when they were having all these parties, when the rest of us were in lockdown. So there you go. Anyway, so another thing that I wanted to bring up, oh my God, I'm not going to get through all this, is that in a couple of weeks' time, my friend Julia Grace Patterson, who I interviewed for an episode of The Agenda early on in Labour Social's life, has written a book called Critical, Why the NHS is Being Betrayed and How We Can Fight for It. I'm doing an interview with Julia tomorrow. I might do it live if she's up for that. If not, I'll do it as a pre-record and have it up by the end of the week. So she was a doctor for 10 years, and now she works full-time for Every Doctor, which has also worked with the Good Law Project, which is one of the group, them working together led to the PPE scandal coming out about these VIP lanes for PPE. Yeah, Dr. Julia Grace Patterson had a hand in that. I'll just read the blurb on the back. The NHS is an institution, but it's also a political football kicked back and forth between politicians for the past 75 years. It's a burden to some and a potent vote winner for others. It's a construct framed in the media. It's a set of ideas and a logo. It's a workplace for many and the birthplace of almost all of us. It's become a valued part of our society. It is extraordinarily special, and it's being destroyed. And yeah, I'm about halfway through. I've got to finish that by tomorrow before we chat. But yeah, well worth getting. You can pre-order it now on Amazon and all other terrible booksellers. And it's $9.99 on as Kindle, I think. Not true. You can volunteer to be interviewed under caution without the requirement of formal arrest, says Mark. Look, I don't know the ins and outs of Scottish law and legal enforcement. I'm not even going to go there. I just know they do it a bit differently. I voted leave on Brexit because I was thick enough to believe a lie. I regret that vote now. The cotton wool has been removed from my eyes. Brexit was a mistake. Thank you very much, Admiral Pegasus CC, for admitting your mistake. Let's fight back against the forces that lied to you and conned you and half the nation into voting for something that has actually really, really knackered us as a nation, has destroyed us. Our standing on the world stage has destroyed us financially, economically, and socially. And there's so many families and friendship groups that have been split apart by this Brexit vote, which still goes on today. Because are you forgiving your family who voted for it? Like people who still think it was a good idea, still lord it over you, the fact that you're not doing so well anymore as a direct result of Brexit? Because I haven't forgiven people I know in my life who voted to derail my career. Thanks for that, guys. Now I'm on the YouTubes telling people not to vote for the Conservatives because, yeah, that's the way I go. What's this? 500 million for the Tories. That's a Monday, indeed. Never go to a police interview, voluntary or not, without a solicitor, says Patrick. Good advice. Don't say anything. Use your right to remain silent. Shared loss, Gary, my aunt. However, while I breathe, she lives. My condolences. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. Is that Gary saying, sorry, Gary. My close relative is one of the casualties I can never forget. Sorry, Gary. Yeah, it is absolutely disgraceful. One of my friends died during COVID. Not of COVID, but we would have had a massive funeral for him, attended by rock stars from all over the world, because he was a bit of a rock star himself. And it was just 30 people, because that was the maximum we were allowed. And we never really got to say goodbye. We never really got a send-off. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson and his mates were having coke-fueled orgies in number 10. Under the watchful eye of the Met Police, who stood outside and let people in. I went, aren't you supposed... someone says, are you supposed to be, like, investigating crimes? You know, when you see a crime happen? Oh, yeah, but if it's an important person doing the crime, then we have to just let the crime happen and then just pretend that we couldn't do anything about it because reasons. Anyway, so there you go. Johnson, Uxbridge, Mid Bedfordshire, Trump, Sturgeon, critical, the NHS, which we'll be talking about tomorrow. So there you go. Thanks so much. Says Gary. No, you're welcome, mate. I mean, it's all been a bit crap over the last few years, but with Johnson's resignation in disgrace, the disgraced former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and these charges brought against Trump. I mean, I'm seeing the green shoots. I'm quite a positive person when I want to be, and I'm thinking hopefully Berlusconi's gone. The others are on the last legs, aren't they? I mean, Trump's not going to last much longer. We've seen the size of him. Hopefully, we're heading towards a world in which we can actually do something about, I don't know, climate change before it's too late. It's probably already too late for a lot of places. You look at what's happening in the climate at the moment, it's pretty grim. It's flooding and heat waves and forest fires. It's not going to get any better anytime soon unless we take the bull by the horns and we approach the climate crisis like we would approach World War III, where we mobilize the world together to fight against climate change. And we make sure that the 72 companies that are responsible for the vast majority of climate altering emissions, that's carbon dioxide and other things, methane, and we make sure that they all not only cannot contribute to the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere anymore, we also make sure they go to jail for their crimes against humanity. Because when you put people in a room and then you fill it with toxic gas, that's a crime. If you have people in the world and you fill the world with toxic gas, that's an even bigger crime and one for which they should go down forever. Oh my God, since 2010, the Tories have lost £500 billion. Yeah. And don't forget that there was over £1.2 trillion that was moved in assets moved out of London after the Brexit vote. 1.2 trillion. And I keep saying this, but if you stack up £50 notes, just one stack of £50 notes on top of each other, right? And you stack up 1 trillion of them, the tower of £50 notes will be 5 times higher than the International Space Station. That's how much 1 trillion is. That's how much the Tories cost us. That's how much their Brexit cost us. Never forget that. Never forget, never forgive. Right, I'm going to head off now. I'm going to leave you in the adorable company of James O'Brien. I'm going to go over to the Discord server, the Labour Social Discord server. If you'd like to join us over there, you are very welcome to. We have a James O'Brien listen along on weekday mornings. And we sort of chat together during the ad breaks and stuff, or make comments as he's talking. So if you want to join us for that, please head over to the Discord server. If you are a member of this channel, or if you are a patron, you should have access to that. If you don't, please get in touch and let me know, and I'll sort that out for you. Right then, thank you very much for all your wonderful comments. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for watching. And until tomorrow at 9:30, when Phil Morehouse will be here for Morning Brew, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.